Conversational dominance, the hidden psychology of people who always win without fighting. In every room you enter, someone controls the energy, and it's time you learned how they do it so effortlessly. You feel it. In every meeting, at every party, in every conversation, there's an invisible current of control and someone is always holding the wire. It's not the loudest person. It's not the one with the most impressive title. It's the one who has mastered the art of conversational dominance. They win arguments without arguing. They lead without demanding. They command respect without asking for it. This isn't about manipulation. This is about understanding the fundamental physics of human interaction. For the next hour, you will learn their secrets. Your days of being a passive participant are over. Welcome. Sit down. We need to talk. You walk into rooms every day, boardrooms, coffee shops, your own living room, and you think you're communicating. You're not. You're performing. You're a wind-up toy of pre-packaged opinions, rehearsed stories, and desperate contributions. You enter every conversation with one primary mission, to figure out what you are going to say next. And in doing so, you make yourself deaf. You miss everything that matters. This ends now. This is not a chapter about becoming a better conversationalist. This is about weaponizing your attention. This is about learning that the most powerful thing you can often do is nothing at all. This is Chapter 1. Stop talking, start observing, the power of the strategic pause. Let's diagnose the disease. I call it the flaw of compulsive contribution. It's the ingrained pathetic need to constantly add your voice to the mix to prove you're smart, you're relevant, you're in the room. It's the mental chatter that screams, "What can I say to impress them?" Instead of the quiet command that asks, "What are they really telling me?" You're so busy formulating your next brilliant point that you miss the hesitation in their voice when they quote a price. You miss the flicker of doubt in their eyes when they agree to a deadline. You miss the subtle shift in their posture that screams they're lying. You are collecting words while ignoring a universe of data. You are a musician who only hears his own instrument, making the entire orchestra sound like noise. You have a choice. You can continue to be a performer, or you can become a strategist. The first step is to rewire your brain's single most basic function in communication. From this moment forward, your new mantra, your mental loop, your obsessive focus must be this. Listen to understand, not just to reply. Read that again. Listen to understand, not just to reply. That's not a nice sentiment. It's a discipline. It's the bedrock of all real power in human interaction. When you listen to reply, you are in a fight. When you listen to understand, you are on a hunt. You are gathering intelligence. Every word they say, every pause they take, every nervous tick they display is a piece of the puzzle. Your job is not to talk. Your job is to solve the puzzle. Once you've shut your mouth and started truly listening, you'll notice something incredible. People start giving you their secrets. Not in their words, but in everything else. You become a human lie detector. This isn't about magic. It's about observation. It's about watching for the micro-expressions that flash across a face in a fraction of a second, the tightening of the lips when they say they're confident, the brief furrow of the brow when they talk about a sure thing. It's about hearing the tone shifts. Does their voice go up an octave at the end of a statement, betraying their uncertainty? Does it become flat and monotone when they're telling you what they think you want to hear? And the body never lies. Watch for the shoulder slump of resignation in a negotiator who's reached their limit. See the crossed arms that aren't just comfortable but are a shield. Notice the feet pointed towards the door, screaming their desire to leave. This is the real conversation happening right beneath the surface of the words. Real-world example. A skilled negotiator isn't just listening to the other side's demands. He's watching. He sees his counterpart make an offer, and then, just after speaking, the man lets out a slow, quiet breath, and his shoulders drop just a fraction of an inch. That's not tiredness. That's a release of tension. That's a signal. The negotiator doesn't pounce with words. He files that data away. He now knows the offer wasn't as firm as it sounded. There's weakness there. He spotted it because he was observing, not just waiting for his turn to talk. You have a choice. You can hear the words, or you can hear the truth. But the ultimate test of your new discipline, the moment where your willpower is truly measured, is the art of the uncomfortable silence. Most people are terrified of a conversational vacuum. Their internal programming screams that silence is awkward, that it's a failure, that it must be filled immediately. This is your greatest weapon. When someone finishes a statement, especially a weak one or a difficult question, your instinct will be to jump in. Don't hold the pause. Count to 2 in your head. It will feel like an eternity. It will feel rude. Do it anyway. Let the silence do the work. In that void, their anxiety will spike. Their need to fill the empty space will become overwhelming. And in their desperation, they will often reveal their true hand. They'll backtrack. They'll qualify their statement. They'll blurt out a concession you never would have gotten if you just politely moved the conversation along. Your silence is a pressure cooker for the truth. You're not being quiet. You're applying leverage without saying a single word. Let the silence do the work. Try it in your next conversation. When asked a tough question, pause for 2 full seconds before you answer. Watch how it commands respect. When someone gives you a flimsy excuse, just stay quiet and look at them. Watch them squirm and dig their own grave deeper. Your silence communicates confidence, control, and a refusal to be rushed. It forces the other person to sit with their own words, and often they don't like the sound of them. This is the strategic pause. It's not passive. It's the most active thing you can do. It's the discipline of inaction. It's choosing to observe, to process, and to strike only when you have true tactical advantage. You don't need their permission to be quiet. Take the space. Own the silence. So, here is your mission, starting the very next time you speak to another human being. Your mouth is closed until further notice. Your eyes and ears are on high alert. Your internal monologue is no longer, "What do I say next?" It is, "What are they really saying now?" Listen to understand, not just to reply. When the moment is right, you will deploy the pause. You will lean into the discomfort and let the silence do the work. This is the foundation. You have learned to be still, to be a collector of truth. But once you have this intelligence, you must use it. The next step is to master the words you do choose to use, to ensure they carry immense weight and intention. It's time to learn the art of the unbreakable promise you make to yourself. Let's get one thing straight. Your desire to be liked is making you weak. It's making you predictable. It's making you a puppet, and everyone else holds the strings. You walk into a conversation, and your primary goal isn't to be effective, to be truthful, or to be powerful. Your goal is to be approved of. You filter every word through a mental checklist. Will this make them think I'm nice? Will this make them laugh? Will this prevent any conflict? You sand down your edges, you swallow your objections, and you become a mirror, reflecting back whatever you think they want to see. And you wonder why you feel empty. You wonder why no one takes you seriously. You have traded your authority for affection, and you've gotten neither. This ends now. This is Chapter 2, Kill Your Need to be Liked. The unshakable foundation of true confidence. Your flaw is the approval-seeking trap. It's a chemical leak in your brain, dripping dopamine every someone smiles at your joke or nods at your agreement. You're addicted to the nod. You're a validation junkie. And like any addict, you'll do anything for your next fix, even if it means betraying your own principles, your own ideas, and your own power. When you need approval, you cannot lead. When you need approval, you cannot negotiate. When you need approval, you cannot tell the hard truth that needs to be heard. You become agreeable, soft. You become a yes man, a people pleaser, a doormat with a smiling face. You are easily manipulated because all anyone has to do is threaten to withdraw their approval, and you fall in line. It's not about being an asshole. It's about being free, and freedom starts with a single, decisive shift in your objective. From this moment forward, your new target is this. Seek respect, not approval. Approval is fickle. It's emotional. It's given and taken away on a whim. Respect is solid. It's earned through action and integrity. It's durable. People may not like that you held the line, but they will respect you for it. People may not like that you disagreed, but they will trust your honesty. Seek respect, not approval. That is the cornerstone of real power. When you make this shift, something paradoxical happens. You unlock the freedom of indifference. Indifference is not hatred. It's not anger. It's a state of profound emotional neutrality. It's the attitude of take it or leave it. It means your sense of self-worth, your mood, your mission is no longer hooked to someone else's opinion. Think about the most compelling people you know. They aren't desperate for your attention. They're solid. They're complete with or without you. And that very quality makes you want to earn their approval. It's a magnetic pull. Your lack of neediness is what creates attraction. In business, in relationships, in life. Real-world example. Consider two job candidates. Candidate A is eager, agreeable, laughs at all the interviewer's jokes, and says he's flexible on salary and hours. He's trying to be liked. Candidate B is engaged but calm. She asks tough questions about the company's direction. When asked about salary, she states her number clearly and without apology. She mentions she has a hard stop at the end of the interview for a prior commitment. She is warm, but she is not needy. Who gets the job? Who gets the better offer? Candidate B, every time. By not needing the job desperately, by presenting herself as a value to be acquired rather than a beggar seeking a favor, she instantly raises her perceived worth. She sought respect, and she got it. You have a choice. You can be the beggar, or you can be the value. This isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about operating from a position of strength. And to do that, you need a practical framework. I call it the pleased but not needy protocol. Here's how it works. You engage with the world from a place of internal contentment. You are pleased when things go well, when people are kind, when you get what you want. But you are not needy for those outcomes. Your emotional state is not held hostage by them. Phase 1. Internal check. Before any interaction, you check your intention. Ask yourself, am I here to get this person to like me, or am I here to exchange value and truth? If it's the former, shut it down. Recenter. Your mantra is seek respect, not approval. Phase 2. Warm engagement. You smile, you listen, you contribute. You are present and engaged. But you are an observer of your own neediness. The moment you feel that tug, that desire to say something just for a laugh or a nod, you stop. You let the silence do the work instead. Phase 3. Hold your line. This is where you are tested. Someone challenges your idea. Someone doesn't laugh at your joke. Your old programming screams to backtrack, to appease. Your new discipline is to hold firm. You state your case calmly. You don't get defensive. You are indifferent to their immediate emotional reaction. You are playing a longer game. You don't need their permission to have your own opinion. This protocol transforms you from a reactive child into a proactive adult. You are no longer a pinball, bouncing off every bump and ring of external validation. You are the player. You are in control. It's not about being liked, it's about being respected. That's the key. Respect gives you the freedom to be yourself, because yourself isn't up for a vote. It allows you to make the hard decision, to have the difficult conversation, to stand alone when necessary. That independence is the very essence of true confidence. It's not a loud boast, it's a quiet knowing. You have now laid the second stone in your foundation. You observe with ruthless clarity, and you operate from a position of independent worth. But this unshakable confidence is worthless if it's not backed by action. It's time to talk about the one thing that truly defines you, the currency of your character. I want you to think about the last time you walked into a room full of people. A meeting, a party, a conference. What did you do? Did you shuffle in, head down, looking for a corner to disappear into? Did you rush to your seat, already apologizing with your body for taking up space? Or did you float in, a ghost, hoping no one would notice you until you were forced to speak? Your body is talking, right now. Even in silence, it is screaming a message to everyone who sees you. And most of you are broadcasting on a frequency of insecurity, weakness, and apology. You think power is what you say. You are wrong. Power is what you are before you make a sound. It is the signal you transmit through the air. It is the space you occupy or fail to occupy. You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you deliver it from a crumpled, nervous, fidgeting body, the idea itself becomes small. It becomes weak. Your words are the script. Your body is the stage, the lighting, and the sound. If the stage is shaky, no one will hear the play. This ends now. This is Chapter 3. Command the room before you speak, the nonverbal blueprint of power. Let's be brutally clear. Your body is your first argument. It is the opening statement in every interaction you will ever have. Before your brain has a chance to articulate a complex thought, your posture, your gait, and your eyes have already told the world whether you are a person to be listened to or a person to be ignored. Think of a predator in the wild. It doesn't scurry. It moves with a quiet, deliberate economy. It owns the terrain it walks on. You must do the same. Stop the slumped shoulders. End the hurried, frantic pace. Eliminate the shifty eyes that dance around the room, afraid to land. This isn't just body language. This is the physical manifestation of your internal state. And if your internal state is weak, your body will betray you every time. You have a choice. You can broadcast fear, or you can broadcast command. The decision is made in the first 3 seconds. Own your space, own the room. This starts with how you enter. Walk in as if you belong there. Because you do. Your head is level. Your shoulders are pulled back, not in a militaristic chest puff, but in a natural, open alignment that allows you to breathe deeply. Your gait is purposeful, but not rushed. You are going somewhere, but you are not frantic to get there. You scan the room with your eyes, making calm, deliberate contact. You are assessing. You are present. You are not a spectator waiting for the show to start. You are the show. This projects a powerful, magnetic energy. It is the energy of the unhurried. In a world that glorifies busyness and speed, the person who moves with deliberate slowness is the king. When you move and speak just 10% slower than everyone else, you project absolute control. You communicate that you are not anxious, not desperate, not trying to keep up. You are setting the pace. This makes people lean in. It makes them listen harder. They have to match your tempo. You are forcing the room to come to you. Real-world example. Picture a boardroom in chaos. The project is failing. Fingers are being pointed. Voices are raised. Everyone is talking over each other. Then the CEO enters. She doesn't shout. She doesn't rush. She walks to her seat at a measured pace. She sits down, places her hands calmly on the table, and simply observes the chaos. She says nothing. Within seconds, the room begins to quiet. The frantic energy dissipates. Why? Because her non-verbal communication, her stillness, her lack of hurry, is a silent command. It broadcasts, "I am not worried, therefore, you do not need to be." She didn't command the room with words. She commanded it with her presence. She owned her space, and she owned the room. That's the key. But once you are in the room and you begin to speak, there is one technique that separates the amateurs from the professionals. I call it mastering the still point. Watch most people when they talk. They are a mess of nervous energy. They fidget with a pen. They shift their weight from foot to foot. They bob their head excessively. They gesture with frantic, unanchored movements. This is visual static. It screams, "I am uncomfortable. I am not sure of what I'm saying." The discipline is to create a still point. Your head and your torso become your anchor. They remain remarkably still and centered. Your gestures come from this anchored place. They are deliberate and used for emphasis, not from nervous energy. When your core is still, your words carry more weight. They land with gravitas. Practice this. Sit in a chair. Press your feet firmly into the floor. Feel your sit bones grounded. Keep your head level. Now speak. Feel the difference. You are no longer a leaf blowing in the wind of social anxiety. You are a tree, rooted and solid. It's not about being rigid, it's about being rooted. That's the key. This is how you command attention without begging for it. This is how you signal confidence without saying a word. You don't need their permission to take up space. You take it. You own it. You move through the world with the unshakable knowing that you belong wherever you are. Your body is your first argument. Make it a powerful one. From the way you walk through a door to the way you stand in an elevator, every moment is a rehearsal for the moments that matter. Own your space. Own the room. Let your physical presence be a silent proclamation of your worth. You have now built the third pillar of your power. A body that commands respect before you even speak. But this silent language is only half the battle. The other half is how you weaponize your voice. It's time to move from the physical to the vocal, from presence to proclamation. Every conversation you have is a game, not a game of chance, a game of frames. You walk into interactions blind. You accept the rules, the context, the definitions that other people hand you. You get into a job interview, and you accept the frame that you are the supplicant, being judged. You get into a sales call, and you accept the frame that you are the seller, begging for a yes. You get into an argument, and you accept the frame that you are the defendant, forced to justify yourself. You are playing on their board, by their rules, and you are losing. You wonder why you feel powerless, why you're always on the defensive. It's because you've ceded the most important territory before the first shot is fired. You've lost the meta game. This ends now. This is Chapter 4. Control the frame, control the game. How to dictate the terms of every interaction. What is a frame? It's the invisible structure around a conversation. It's the unspoken agreement about what this interaction is. Who has the status? Who is the expert? Who is in charge of the pace? Who is giving value, and who is receiving it? Most people are completely unconscious of frames. They just step into whatever box they're offered. Your new awareness starts here. In every human interaction, a frame exists, and there is one non-negotiable rule. The one who defines the frame wins the game. Read that again. Let it burn into your mind. The one who defines the frame wins the game. It's not about being the loudest. It's about being the one who sets the context. It's about moving from being a player on the field to the one who owns the stadium. That's the key. Let's break down the most common frame you get trapped in. The interview frame. In this frame, you are the subject under a microscope. You are there to answer questions, to prove your worth, to be evaluated. It's a one-way street of scrutiny. It's a position of inherent weakness. Your escape hatch is to instantly reframe this into the colleague frame. The colleague frame is a collaboration between two equals who are assessing a mutual opportunity. You are not a supplicant. You are a potential partner. This shift isn't just in your head. It's in your language and your behavior. Real-world example. You're in a job interview. The hiring manager asks, "So why should we hire you?" The weak frame-accepting answer is a list of qualifications. "Well, I have 5 years of experience. I'm a hard worker." The frame-controlling answer is different. You pause. You smile slightly. You say, "That's a great question. Before I dive into my specific background, it might be more useful if I understand the core challenge you're facing. What's your current thinking on the biggest hurdle for this role?" Do you see what happened? You didn't just answer. You reframed. You turned a one-way interrogation into a two-way dialogue. You positioned yourself as a consultant, a problem solver. You are now assessing them as much as they are assessing you. The one who defines the frame wins the game. You have a choice. You can be the applicant or you can be the analyst. This is a skill, and like any skill, it requires practical, deployable techniques. Here are 3 frameworks for instant use. First, the time frame. When someone ambushes you or tries to pull you into a long, draining conversation you didn't schedule, you control the clock. You say, "Hey, I'm on my way to another commitment, but I have 5 minutes right now and I'm fully focused on you." What did you just do? You defined the frame. You are a busy, valuable person who is generously offering a sliver of your time. This immediately raises your status and forces the conversation to be more focused and efficient. You don't need their permission to set boundaries. Second, the analyst frame. When you're under pressure, being criticized or being sold to, you refuse to react emotionally. You become an anthropologist studying a strange tribe. You listen to their words not as personal attacks or irresistible offers, but as data points. You respond with, "That's an interesting perspective. Help me understand the data behind that." Or, "What's the reasoning behind that price?" You are no longer a participant in their emotional game. You are a neutral observer dissecting it. This neutralizes all pressure. It's not about being emotional, it's about being analytical. Third, the playful frame. This is your weapon against hostility, rudeness, and tests. When someone tries to provoke you, you refuse to take the bait. You respond with light, playful deflection. They make a sarcastic comment. You smile and say, "You seem fun." They challenge you aggressively. You reply, "We'll have to agree to disagree on that, but I appreciate the passion." You are communicating. that their attempts to rattle you are insignificant, even amusing. You are the rock, and their drama is the water flowing around you. The one who defines the frame wins the game. This is the meta skill of all high-stakes communication. It is the application of your internal discipline to the external social battlefield. You are no longer a passive recipient of reality. You are an active architect of it. You have now moved from observing to carrying yourself with power, to weaponizing your voice, and now to architecting the very reality of your interactions. But building this powerful frame is worthless if you can't defend it. People will test you. They will push. They will try to knock you off your foundation. You must learn to hold the line. Stop getting lost in the weeds. You know the type. The person who answers a simple, strategic question with a 15-minute data dump. They bury you in spreadsheets, timelines, and feature lists. They think this makes them sound smart. It doesn't. It makes them sound like a database, a search engine, a technician. Technicians are replaceable. Strategists are not. Technicians get paid for their hands. Strategists get paid for their minds. And right now, with the way you communicate, you are branding yourself as a technician. You are drowning your audience in the what and forgetting the why. You are giving them the ingredients list instead of serving the meal. You are providing information when you should be providing wisdom, and it's costing you your authority. This ends now. This is Chapter 5. Speak in principles, not just details. The language of unquestionable authority. Let's diagnose the trap. The detail trap is where your credibility goes to die. You believe that the more facts you have, the more convincing you will be. This is a fatal error. When you lead with minutia, you do three things. You bore your listener, you confuse your message, and you position yourself as a subordinate, a mere reporter of data, not an interpreter of reality. The person obsessed with details is reacting. The person who speaks in principles is leading. You have a choice. You can be the anxious employee proving they did the work, or you can be the calm leader explaining what the work means. The shift is simple, but it requires a new discipline. You must consistently elevate from the what to the why. That's your new mantra. Elevate from the what to the why. The what is the data point. The why is the universal law that explains it. The what is a single transaction. The why is the business philosophy. When you speak from the why, you're no longer just sharing information. You're teaching your worldview. You're building a framework others can use. That is how you become indispensable. It's not about listing every fact. It's about revealing the underlying pattern. That's the key. So, how do you do this in real time? You use a simple, brutal, effective formula. I call it the principle example method. You never give an example without first stating the principle. You never state a principle without immediately supporting it with a concrete example. This is the 1-2 punch that knocks out ambiguity and seals your authority. Here's the structure. State the universal principle. This is the why. Anchor it with a concrete example. This is the what. Real-world example. Let's say you're explaining a marketing strategy. The technician says, "We did 3 email campaigns. The first had a 15% open rate. The second had a 22% open rate because we used a better subject line. And the third, eyes glazing over, status, lost." The strategist says, "The guiding principle is to create undeniable value first before you ever ask for anything." That's the why. It's about building trust. not just sending noise. For instance, that's the what. We gave away our entire core ebook for free in the first email. No strings. That one decision built more goodwill and led to more long-term clients than any promotional blast. Do you feel the difference? The second speaker isn't just reporting on past actions. They are teaching a timeless lesson. They are giving the listener a mental model they can apply elsewhere. Elevate from the what to the why. The example proves the principle is real, and the principle gives the example its power. This method transforms you from a source of information into a source of wisdom. Information is cheap. Everyone has Google. Wisdom is rare. Wisdom is the ability to sift through the noise of information and extract the timeless signal. When you package your insights into universal quotable truths, people remember them. They repeat them. They cite you. This is how you build a legacy with your words. Stop saying, "We should use more video content." That's a tactic. Start saying, "The principle is, show, don't just tell." Our audience remembers what they see. That's why our primary strategy should be video. That's wisdom. Stop saying, "We need to cut costs in the department." That's a detail. Start saying, "The principle is, efficiency is doing things right, but effectiveness is doing the right things." We've been focused on efficiency. Now let's scrutinize for effectiveness. That's leadership. You don't need their permission to think and speak at this higher level. This isn't about your job title. It's about your mental altitude. When you speak in principles, you force people to engage with you on a strategic plane. They can't nitpick a tiny detail if you're debating a fundamental truth. You have controlled the frame. Elevate from the what to the why. Make this your default setting. Before you speak, pause. Ask yourself, what is the core principle here? Lead with that. Always. You will stop being the person who simply knows things and start being the person who understands them. That is the foundation of true, unquestionable authority. You have now mastered the art of framing your message with wisdom and principle. But these tools are meaningless if you cannot connect with the human on the other side of the table. Your principles must land not just in their brain but in their gut. It's time to talk about the final piece, the secret language of emotion and desire. They're testing you. They always do. You put in the work. You built your presence. You found your voice. You learned to frame the game. And now someone gets a glint in their eye. They see your strength, and they want to see if it's real. So they throw a trap, a loaded question, a personal jab, a gotcha designed to make you stumble, to justify, to apologize. And what do? Like a well-trained dog, you obey. You jump to answer. You step directly into the trap they set, and you proceed to explain yourself, defend yourself, and diminish yourself, all while thinking you're being responsive. You are not being responsive. You are being controlled. You are accepting their definition of the battlefield. When you answer a hostile question directly, you have already lost. This ends now. This is Chapter 6, The Art of Graceful Deflection. How to sidestep traps and hostile questions. Let's be clear. A hostile question is not a search for information. It is a weapon. It is a grenade rolled at your feet. Its purpose is to force you into a defensive posture, to make you justify your existence, to get you flustered and weak. When you answer it directly, you are playing their game. You are disarming yourself. You have a choice. You can be the pawn, reacting to every attack, or you can be the chess master, moving the pieces to your advantage. Your power does not lie in your ability to withstand the blow. It lies in your ability to make the blow miss entirely. Your power lies in redirecting the energy. Your new discipline, your mantra for every trap set before you, is this: acknowledge and redirect. Do not ignore. Do not engage. You acknowledge the question exists, and you immediately redirect the conversation to your own territory. Acknowledge and redirect. This is the core skill of verbal jiu-jitsu. You use their energy against them. It's not about winning the argument. It's about controlling the conversation. That's the key. To do this with surgical precision, you need a reliable technique. This is the bridge and pivot. It's a 3-step process that must become second nature. Step 1. Validate the surface. You do not validate the attack. You validate the fact that a question was asked. This is not agreement. This is a tactical move that makes you seem reasonable and unflappable. Use phrases like, "That's a topic people often wonder about," or, "I appreciate you raising that point." You are not conceding. You are collecting the grenade calmly rather than letting it explode. Step 2. Reframe the intent. This is where you rewire the question. You strip out its hostile framing and replace it with a more productive, broader, or strategic one. You move from the personal to the universal, from the attack to the principle. Step 3. Pivot to your message. Now, you seamlessly transition to the point you actually want to make. You leave their trap in the dust and plant your flag on solid ground. Real-world example. Imagine you're a leader and someone challenges you publicly. Why did you make such a reckless decision with the project timeline? The amateur gets defensive. It wasn't reckless. Here are the 17 reasons why. This is losing. You're in their frame. The master uses bridge and pivot. Step 1. Validate. I understand the concern about project timelines. Step 2. Reframe. I think what's at the heart of your question is the broader issue of how we balance speed with stability. Step 3. Pivot. And that's a crucial balance. The principle we operate on is strategic agility. For instance, the decision you're referring to allowed us to capture a market opportunity that has now increased our projected revenue by 20%. Let me walk you through that win. Do you see what happened? You didn't answer the charged word reckless. You acknowledged concern, reframed it to a strategic discussion, and pivoted to a success story. You are no longer a defendant. You are a teacher. Acknowledge and redirect. You have chosen your own battlefield, but sometimes the most elegant deflection isn't a pivot at all. It's a mirror. This is using curiosity as your shield. When an aggressor comes at you, they expect a counterpunch. They expect a defensive wall. They do not expect an open door. When you respond to an attack with a calm, thoughtful question, you achieve 2 things. You disarm them completely, and you put the burden of proof squarely back on their shoulders. Someone says, "This plan of yours is never going to work." You could argue. Or you could put on the analyst frame, lean in with genuine curiosity and ask, "Interesting. What specific part of the plan do you see as the weakest link, and what data are you basing that on?" Or the classic personal jab, "You just don't have enough experience for this." Your response? A calm, unblinking, "What specific experience do you believe is missing that would be most critical here?" This does not show weakness. It shows immense strength. You are so secure in your position that you can openly explore criticism without being rattled by it. You are forcing them to move from vague attacks to concrete, defensible points. Most of the time they can't. The attack fizzles. You have held your frame without even throwing a punch. You don't need their permission to redirect a conversation. You are the sovereign of your own words. You decide what you respond to and how. Acknowledge and redirect. This is the discipline of the unshakable. It proves that your confidence, your frame, and your principles are not dependent on the approval or the attacks of others. You have now mastered the defensive arts. You can hold your frame under pressure and deflect any attack thrown your way. But defense alone does not win wars. It's time to learn the single most powerful skill for creating undeniable influence and closing any deal. You feel it, don't you? That heat in your chest, the tightness in your jaw. Someone pushes you verbally. They challenge you. They dismiss you, and your entire body screams to push back, to fight force with force, to prove you're right. So you argue. You raise your voice. You get defensive. You become emotional, frantic, and weak. You just lost. You took their bait, their energy, and you let it consume you. You became a mirror of their aggression, a reaction, not a force. You met their chaos with your own, and in that storm, your authority drowns. This is the oldest trap in the book, and you keep falling for it. This ends now. This is Chapter 7. Master Emotional Aikido, using opposition's energy to your advantage. Aikido is a martial art that is not about blocking punches. It is about blending with an attacker's motion, using their own energy and momentum to unbalance them and redirect the force. It is the art of non-resistance. This is not a metaphor. This is the exact discipline you must apply to conversation. Your flawed instinct is to resist, to build a wall when pushed, but a wall can be broken. Your new discipline is to redirect, to become like water, flowing around the obstacle, using its force to carry you where you want to go. When you are met with aggression, you do not meet it head-on. You absorb its data and channel it. Your new mantra, your guiding principle for all conflict, is this: turn their resistance into your momentum. They push you. You use that push to spin past them and advance. Turn their resistance into your momentum. It's not about winning the clash. It's about controlling the trajectory. That's the key. You have a choice. You can be the brick wall that gets chipped away, or you can be the river that wears down the rock through effortless, guided force. One of the most powerful and disarming techniques in this arsenal is the agree and amplify tactic. This is how you neuter criticism, insults, and low-level attacks without ever breaking a sweat. The instinct is to deny. No, I'm not. That's not true. Denial is a form of resistance. It gives the attack power. It makes you look defensive. Agree and amplify works in the opposite direction. You take their criticism, you accept it completely, and you then amplify it to such an absurd degree that it reveals its own childishness. You remain calm, unruffled, and almost playful while doing it. Real-world example: a naysayer in a meeting scoffs, "This new marketing plan is a fantasy. It'll never work." The resistant response: "Yes, it will. Here's all the data why you're wrong." Now you're in a fight. The Aikido response: you nod thoughtfully. "You're right. It's a complete fantasy. In fact, we're probably going to lose all our clients. The building will collapse and we'll have to flee the country. Or we could look at the A/B test data from the pilot that showed a 30% lift. Your concern about risk is valid. Let's focus the discussion there. Do you see what happened? You took the energy of their fantasy jab and amplified it into absurdity, completely draining it of its power. Then, you seamlessly pivoted to the data. You appeared confident and humorous while they looked petty. You turned their resistance into your momentum. Let's break this down into practical scenarios. You will face these people. Here's how to apply emotional Aikido. The interrupter. This person tries to steal your speaking time to assert dominance. Old you. Talk louder. Talk faster. Get flustered. Aikido. You. The moment they interrupt, you stop completely. You turn to them, and with calm curiosity you say, "You seem very eager to jump in. What's on your mind?" Then you let the silence do the work. You have now gracefully handed them the floor, but on your terms. You look like a generous leader. They look like an impatient child. You have controlled the frame. The naysayer. The person who shoots down every idea. Old you. Get into a debate about every single negative point. Aikido. You. Use agree and amplify. Or, use strategic curiosity. You've identified several potential pitfalls. That's valuable. To make this practical, what would one workable first step look like to you? You force them out of destruction and into construction. If they can't, they expose themselves. If they can, you've co-opted their energy. The energy vampire. The person who drains morale with passive aggression and sighing. Old you. Get frustrated. Try to cheer them up. Absorb their negativity, Aikido. You make their energy visible, calmly. I'm sensing some hesitation. I need everyone fully engaged. Is there a specific reservation we need to address before we move forward? You call out the behavior without accusation, placing the burden on them to articulate a real problem or drop the act. You don't need their permission to have a productive atmosphere. In every case, you refuse to become what they are. You remain the still point. You acknowledge their energy, and you redirect it toward a productive end. Turn their resistance into your momentum. You are not a participant in their drama. You are the director of the play. This is the highest expression of the control we've been building. It proves your frame is unbreakable. You cannot be rattled, because you have mastered the art of using even the attacks against you as fuel for your own progress. You have now mastered the art of defense and redirection. You can hold your frame against any attack and use the opposition's energy to your advantage. But true power isn't just about not losing. It's about winning. It's about creating undeniable magnetic influence. It's time to learn the language that makes people want to follow you. Stop giving away the answers. You sit there, bursting with what you know. You have the solution. You see the path. So you talk. You explain. You lecture. You hand them the completed puzzle on a silver platter. And what happens? They nod. Maybe, but they don't own it. They don't feel it. They haven't discovered it for themselves. Your brilliant answer is just another piece of information to be filed away, or worse, resisted. You are an answer machine, and you are making your audience passive, lazy, and resistant. You are doing all the work, and they are getting none of the credit inside their own minds. You are building their case for them, when the only case that ever sticks is the one they build themselves. This ends now. This is Chapter 8. Become a question artist. Not an answer machine. The Socratic path to control. The flaw is the answer machine reflex. It's the desperate need to prove your intelligence by having the ready solution. It's a performance, and a weak one. It positions you as a servant to the conversation, waiting to be activated by a problem. The artist does not perform. The artist orchestrates. A question artist understands that the most powerful form of influence is not telling people what to think, but guiding them to discover it for themselves. You are not a source of answers. You are a guide to insight. This requires a fundamental shift in your default setting. From this moment forward, your first instinct in any exchange must be to inquire, not to declare. Your new mantra is this: lead with a question, not a statement. That's the discipline. Lead with a question, not a statement. When you lead with a statement, you invite debate. When you lead with a question, you command thought. You are forcing the other person's brain to engage on your terms. You are initiating a guided dialogue where you control the destination, but they feel like they are driving. That's the key. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions. This is how you turn a monologue into a collaboration you secretly lead, one of the most devastating tools in the question artist's arsenal is a modern application of the Columbo method. For those who don't know, Columbo was a TV detective who played slightly dumb, bumbling, and forgetful. He'd always have just one more question. This persona disarmed people. They underestimated him. They dropped their guard. Your modern version isn't about playing dumb. It's about playing curious. It's about adopting a posture of genuine, almost naive inquiry to ask the piercing question that unravels an entire flawed argument. You approach a tense situation not with aggression, but with curiosity. You say, "Help me understand something." Or, I'm just trying to piece this together. Can you walk me through how X leads to Y? Or, this might be a dumb question, but why would we do it that way instead of this way? You are not attacking. You are just asking. This makes any defensiveness on their part seem aggressive and unreasonable. That final, gentle, just one more question is the thread you pull to make the whole sweater of their weak position unravel. You don't need their permission to be curious. Use it as a weapon. To become a true artist, you need a palette of colors. Here is your toolkit of powerful question types. First, the forcing mechanism question. This question collapses ambiguity and forces a decision or a revelation. It's direct and binary. Example. Just so I'm clear, is that a hard no on the proposal, or are you open to it if we can solve the budget issue? Example. To move forward, what is the one thing that absolutely must change? This question stops the dancing. It forces the real issue into the light. Second, the future pacing question. This is perhaps the most powerful question in existence for sales, leadership, and personal motivation. It doesn't ask about now. It asks them to project themselves into a future reality. Example. If we solve this problem for you, what would that let you do that you can't do now? Example. Imagine it's 6 months from now, and this project has failed. What's the most likely reason why? This question bypasses intellectual objections and taps directly into emotion and consequence. It makes the future feel real. Third, the value-clarifying question. This question forces people to articulate their own priorities, often revealing that their stated position is in conflict with their deeper values. Example. Which is more important to you here, speed of execution or flawless quality? Example. You've said you want X, but the plan gives you Y. Help me reconcile that. This question exposes internal contradictions without you ever having to point them out. In every interaction, you are the architect. You are laying out the path with your questions. They are walking it. Lead with a question, not a statement. You are not there to supply answers. You are there to provoke the thinking that leads to the only answers that matter, the ones they believe they found themselves. This is the pinnacle of gentle, unassailable control. You have learned to command the room without a word, to defend without attacking, and now to lead without telling. You have moved from being a warrior to being a strategist, and now to being a guide. But all this influence, all this control, is theoretical if it doesn't lead to a result. If it doesn't close the deal, it's time to learn the final, decisive skill. How to end the conversation with power and purpose. Stop multitasking. You're on a video call and you're secretly checking your email. You're having coffee with someone, and your eyes flick to your phone screen. You're in a conversation, but you're already composing your response, your grocery list, your escape plan. You think you're being efficient. You are not. You are being cheap. You are telling the person in front of you, without a word, that they are not valuable enough to deserve your full attention. That they are one of many tasks. That they are background noise, and people feel this. On a deep, visceral level. They may not consciously call you out on it, but they register the disrespect. They close doors. They withhold trust. They become less influenced by you. You are leaking power and connection with every distracted glance. In a world drowning in noise, the most radical, powerful thing you can offer is your silence. Your focus, your complete and utter presence. This ends now. This is Chapter 9, The Currency of Presence. How to make anyone feel like they are the only person in the world. Let's be blunt. Your attention is your most valuable currency, and you are giving it away for free to every notification, every distraction, every passing thought. You are bankrupting your own influence. The ultimate power move in the 21st century is not to be the loudest in the room. It is to be the most focused. When you give someone your complete, undivided attention, you are performing a kind of magic. You are creating a bubble of significance around them. In that bubble, they feel heard, understood, and valued. And a person who feels that way from you will feel deep loyalty and connection to you. They will be putty in your hands. You have a choice. You can be another source of digital static in their life, or you can be an oasis of human connection. The choice is made in every second you maintain your focus. It's not about managing multiple tasks. It's about mastering a single moment. That's the key. To do this, you need a system, a discipline. I call it the triple lock listening technique. This is an active, aggressive method for locking your focus onto another person so completely that your subsequent responses carry unbelievable weight. You must lock in on 3 channels simultaneously. Lock 1, their words. This is the baseline. You are listening to the literal meaning of their sentences, but you are not just hearing. You are mentally noting key phrases, the specific language they use. You are collecting their vocabulary. Lock 2, their music. This is their tone, their pace, their rhythm. Is their voice speeding up with excitement? Slowing down with uncertainty? Is there a tremor of anxiety? A flatness of boredom? The music tells you the emotional truth behind the words. Lock 3, their dance. This is their body language. The micro-expressions we discussed in Chapter 1. The shift in posture, the hand gestures, the eye movement. The dance is the unconscious, physical story they are telling. When you are simultaneously processing their words, their music, and their dance, you are no longer just listening. You are absorbing. You are in a state of full bandwidth reception. There is no cognitive space left for you to think about your reply. Your reply becomes a direct, powerful reflection of what you have fully received. This leads to the most simple, yet devastatingly effective, technique for demonstrating deep listening, the rewind method. You hear something. A point of tension, a flash of emotion, a moment of importance in their story. You don't just nod and move on. You pause. You make eye contact, and you say the following phrase with genuine curiosity. That sounds important. Tell me more about that. Say it out loud. Feel the weight of it. That sounds important. Tell me more about that. This phrase is a superpower. It does 3 things instantly. It proves you were not just hearing, but evaluating what they said. It validates the significance of their feeling or experience. It gives them implicit permission to drop to a deeper level of truth. Real-world example. A colleague is updating you on a project and says, "Yeah, and then marketing threw us another curveball, so we're just dealing with that, I guess." Their tone is resigned. Their shoulders slump slightly. The distracted listener says, "Okay, well, keep me posted." Conversation over. Trust diminished. The present listener, using the triple lock, sees the resigned music and the slumped dance. They lean in slightly and says, "Whoa, that sounds important. Tell me more about that curveball." The floodgates open. The real issue, the frustration, the roadblock, the interpersonal conflict, comes pouring out. You have just moved from a superficial update to the core problem, and you have done it by making them feel truly seen. You don't need their permission to be this present. In fact, your permission comes from the result, undeniable rapport. This is how you build allies, not just contacts. This is how you uncover the real objections, not just the stated ones. Your presence is the key that unlocks every door. The ultimate power move is full focus. It is the final, unassailable demonstration of your discipline. You have controlled your body, your voice, your frame, and your emotions. Now you control your attention. And in doing so, you give the greatest gift possible in a distracted world. The feeling of being the only person in it. You have mastered the art of connection. You now know how to listen, how to command space, how to influence, and how to make people feel profoundly heard. But all of this is a beautiful, powerful theory if it never leaves the room. If it never gets executed, it is time to talk about the engine that makes it all real. The one thing that separates the talkers from the doers. Talk is cheap. Theory is worthless. You have listened. You have learned. You have 9 chapters of mental models, techniques, and power principles in your head. And right now, they are just that. Ideas in your head. Useless. If you do not integrate them, they will evaporate at the first sign of real pressure. You will default to your old, weak programming. You will fidget. You will seek approval. You will get defensive. You will talk too much. All that potential wasted. Because you thought knowing was enough. Knowing is not enough. You must drill. You must build the muscle memory of dominance until it is harder to be weak than it is to be strong. This ends now. This is the final lesson. Chapter 10. Integrate your dominance. The 5-minute daily drill for unbreakable poise. Let's be brutally clear. Mastery is a practice, not a theory. You don't have poise. You practice poise. Every day. Without fail. It is a non-negotiable discipline, like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't leave your house with dirty teeth. Why would you leave your house with a dirty, undisciplined mind? This chapter is not another concept. It is your prescription. It is the bridge between the person you are and the person you are destined to become. It is the final piece. Your new, non-negotiable mantra for the rest of your life is this. Drill the skill, not once a week. Not when you feel like it. Every single day, drill the skill. It's not about occasional effort. It's about daily execution. That's the key. You have a choice. You can be a collector of interesting ideas, or you can be a craftsman of your own character. The choice is made in 5 minutes each day. Your daily drill consists of 2 parts, one for the future, one for the past. First, the pre-game visualization. This is not fluffy meditation. This is mental warfare. You do this before any significant interaction, a meeting, a difficult conversation, a presentation. Find a quiet space. 60 seconds. Close your eyes. Now mentally rehearse the upcoming event. But you are not rehearsing what you will say. You are rehearsing who you will be. Visualize walking into the room. Own your space, own the room. Feel your posture, your slow, unhurried pace. Visualize making eye contact, calm, assured. Visualize someone challenging you. See yourself not reacting, taking a breath, letting the silence do the work. Then, using the bridge and pivot to acknowledge and redirect, feel the state of calm command in your body. The still point, the energy of the unhurried. You are programming your nervous system for success. You are building neural pathways so that when the moment comes, your body knows what to do. You are moving from theory to embodied reality. Drill the skill. Second, the post-game analysis. This is where growth is forged. Immediately after a significant interaction, you take 2 minutes. You perform a quick, brutal, and honest audit. You ask yourself 3 questions, and you answer with ruthless honesty. Where did I leak value? Did I seek approval? Did I interrupt? Did I get lost in details instead of speaking in principles? Did I break frame? Identify the single biggest leak in your composure. Where did I hold my frame? What was one moment where I successfully used a technique? Where I stayed calm under pressure? Where I led with a question, not a statement? You must reinforce what you did right. What is the one thing I will do better next time? Based on your answers, select one single microscopic improvement, not 10 things. 1. Next time I will pause for 2 full seconds before answering a tough question. Next time, I will keep my torso still while I speak. This is not about self-flagellation. It is about data collection. You are the CEO of Incon, and you are reviewing the performance metrics. Without this audit, you are doomed to repeat the same mistakes forever. Drill the skill. Real-world example. You have a job interview. Pre-game. You spend 60 seconds visualizing walking in calmly, shaking hands firmly, and answering a tough question with a strategic pause and a pivot to your strengths. The interview. It happens. You do well, but you feel you talk too much about one project. Post-game, your audit. Leak. I got overexcited on the project details and dominated the conversation for 3 minutes. Hold. I used the colleague frame well by asking them strategic questions about their challenges. One thing, next time, after making my point, I will immediately hand the floor back with a question. That's my view on that, but I'm keen to hear your perspective. This cycle, pre-game, action post-game is the engine of mastery. It takes 5 minutes total. There is no excuse. You don't need their permission to do this work. This is the ultimate act of self-ownership. Drill the skill. Make it automatic. Make it so that observing, holding frame, and speaking with principle are not things you do, but traits you have. This is how you cement the unbreakable poise that makes everything else possible. You have reached the end of our training. But this is not the end. It is the beginning. You now have the map and the daily discipline to walk the path. You are no longer a passenger in your conversations. You are the pilot. You are the strategist. You are the artist. The power is not in knowing. It is in doing. Go. Drill the skill. This is it. The blueprint is now complete. You have the tools. You understand the psychology. You know that true power isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the calmest, the most observant, the one who controls the frame without ever seeming to try. You now know to stop talking and start observing, to kill your need to be liked, to command the room before you speak. You know how to control the frame, speak in principles, and deflect any attack with grace. You are a master of emotional Aikido, a question artist, and you understand that your presence is your ultimate currency. This knowledge is worthless if it stays right here, right now. So here is your challenge, your one command for tomorrow. In your very next conversation, whether it's with your barista, your colleague, or your CEO, I want you to practice just one thing. Master the strategic pause. Let the silence do the work. Observe what happens. Feel the shift. That is your entry point. That is the crack in the door. Now kick it open. This is your moment. Go and own it.